general nerdery.
As always seems to happen when I have really weirdly long weeks we didn't plan to, we are diving back into the Discworld this week. Which is great for me, because when I get stressed out, few things make me feel better than the Discworld.
And it means that I get to continue, trying to sell everybody I work with on it.
Which is just fucking gravy for me.
They love asking me, what I'm doing for my various podcasts in a certain week, and then subsequently ignore whatever it is I tell them for the most part.
Oh, yeah.
But every time this comes up, it's just another opportunity for me to be like, by the way, guys,
Hey.
Discworld. hey, Discworld.
Come on. So Discworld on General Nerdery, your podcast about liking things. I'm Zach.
I'm Tyler.
And you probably knew that already.
I hope so.
This is like episode 50-something. But
I think it's episode 54? 53?
52.
We've passed 52.
I just like saying it because comic series. I can't help myself.
I'm surprised we didn't... When I was putting up 52, I was like, oh, we didn't even mention 52. That seems like kind of a big number for comics these days.
For our 1-year anniversary episode, I considered arguing to do 1 year later, which is the series that came immediately after 52. But it was just too broad a subject and, too weird nerd choice even for me.
Plus, there was Star Wars to talk about.
Talk about, and there was Good Omens to talk about, and that is episodes you've already heard.
I mean, if this is 54, then we can always reference the Car 54, where are you?
I don't know what that is.
It was a old TV sitcom, cop sitcom that then got turned into a movie.
Okay. I did not have access to Nick at Night like you did.
Love me some Car 54, are you? Anyway, yeah. Also not what we're here to talk about. In fact, we're not even going to talk about what we're here to talk about because we have other things to talk about first. Zach, what did you ingest this week?
Mostly Star Wars Rebels, if we're being entirely honest. But let's see. We are recording this on January 4th, and my one comic goal for 2020 that I, of course, put off until the final night of 2020 was to read Machine Man 2020 and Iron Man 2020. Two bigs. And I'm like, one, I just love these series already. And two, on 2020, I fucking gotta. So it's, the night before New Year's. New Year's Eve or the night before that. And I'm like, oh, crap. Oh, I've been saying this for literally a year now. And I sat down and bashed them both out. They're not difficult reads. Machine Man 2020 by Tom DeFalco, and I don't know who does the layouts, but Barry Windsor Smith did the detail art. So, someone did the, not quite stick figures, but setting up the panel work, and, is what it is. And someone else just does the top work over it. Barry Windsor Smith is one of the most gorgeous comic artists of his age. And it's about Machine Man, the, Jack Kirby creation that spun out of 2001: A Space Odyssey comic book. Wakes up in the far-off year 2020, because this was written in, 88, I think. I think it's my age. And it's the kind of post-apocalypse, and oh my god, things are happening. And honestly, their prediction of what people would wear in the year 2020 is way closer to accurate than I thought it was going to be even 5 years ago when I read this.
Dude, not gonna lie, but for the past 2 years, as I've just been wandering around out in the world and I'm often caught in groups of people as we have waves of people sweep through our store.
Yeah.
Fashion's a lot closer to what
the
80s and the 90s and 90s thought what the future was going to be than almost makes me comfortable.
Yeah, it was a little, I'm like, oh man, I might have seen someone wearing that sweater and bow tie and newsboy cap.
It's also kind of neat, though, because it's everything I used to watch come to life.
Well, and it's kind of fun, because it is that combo of, I said, newsboy cap and weird kind of old-timey stuff with 80s punk. Oh, sure. Bow tie and a mohawk, that sounds like a great combination. Legitimately, more power to you.
Mm-hmm.
I wish I had done a mohawk when I was a kid. And I still had that option. Now I can kind of do the reverse hawk.
Yeah.
But that's closer to really just
the Grand
Gallagher's.
Canyon.
Yeah, that's just closer to Gallagher's hair than anything else.
I mean, that's fun. now I want to see you go as Gallagher for Halloween.
Just going for the deep cuts. Okay, if I ever walk up with a hammer and a watermelon, you know what's going down.
Dude, I'll get excited. I'll be the only one knowing what's going on, I think.
I had a period of time where I really loved Gallagher, and my dad was like supportive of it because it's a harmless. But you could tell that he was like, "Why?"
He's like, at least it's not Carrot Top.
Yeah, because he's a prop comedian that explodes watermelons. Like, how is that not great?
Mm-hmm.
God,
how is that not great?
I really hope that he's not like super racist and sexist, and I just didn't notice or something. I don't know.
I'm not positive on that. I think he's dead.
But anyways, what have you been?
Oh man. Okay. First, I binged through all the new season of Letterkenny.
I have not watched it yet. The Hulu app sucks. Hulu is fine. The app sucks.
I finished Queen's Gambit.
The chess one?
Yes.
Okay.
I don't know if I had mentioned that I had started it before, but me and my girlfriend went through it, and it's really good. It's really good. I also really enjoyed Letterkenny. It's just that we've talked off air about possibly getting back to that for an episode, so I don't want to say too much, but I liked it. It was good. Yeah.
There's 8 more seasons of Letterkenny that we haven't covered yet. That's stuff to go when we've forgotten what to do.
Exactly. Queen's Gambit, really, really good. In my opinion, maybe not quite up to as much hype as I've been seeing about it in some places.
All the hype I'm hearing is that and Bridgerton for completely opposite reasons, by the by.
But I'm saying that, like, my opinion is only, like, half a step down from those glowing reviews. Like, it is amazingly done. It's just that I found it far weaker in some parts than some of these reviews seem to be. But
they were like, it's a 95%. You're like, it's a 90%.
It's more like I'm seeing a lot of, like, it's a 98%, and I think it's a 95%.
Ah, okay. Even closer. Yeah, that's fair.
Or maybe like 93.
Okay, we are putting too much thought into this.
I was thinking about it a lot this weekend. The big thing, so normally, like we've talked about this before, sometimes what we've been ingesting is just our recommendation. Mm-hmm. I'm going to get them both out of the way right now because it's been the big thing that happened this week, weirdly affected me this weekend. I won't say that I was ever the biggest fan of MF Doom, but on the 31st, it was released by his record label, Rhymesayers, from a note from his wife that the rapper MF Doom had passed away back in October. A lot of the initial reporting was COVID complications, although I've seen a lot of stuff back away from that, so I'm not sure if it was accurate or not. But that's because he's also the type of guy that, when it was first announced, everyone wasn't sure if it was a stunt or not.
Ah. Okay.
MF Doom was a legend of underground rap, which is its own weird little
niche.
Well, not just niche, but like, how do you stay underground and also become a legend?
Yeah, that's fair.
But I mean, in a lot of ways, for a lot of people, he started off his career kind of as the rap Banksy, was almost never, like, photographed without his helmet on. MF Doom, Metal Fingers Doom, started off with, like, a Dr. Doom mask on.
I didn't know it was Metal Fingers. I always assumed it was motherfucking...
Yeah. I'm assuming Metal Fingers, because I think he put out some instrumental albums, which are what Metal Fingers Presents Special Herbs and Spices. And he had like four volumes of those. Kind of the best way to describe him, even if it isn't accurate in your particular case, is he's your favorite rapper's rapper. Or he's your favorite rapper's favorite rapper.
Ah, okay.
Like...
All right. I never really listened to him before, but you had some on when I came in, and he's pretty good.
I mean, the Dr. Doom persona, like, he knows the nerdy shit. One of his entire albums was kind of done in collabo with Adult Swim and Aqua Teen Hunger Force.
I hate Aqua Teen Hunger Force so much, but that's fun that he did that. God.
He went to the point of, here's what I was holding off from telling you before the show started. Like, this kind of pissed some of his fans off that went to go see him live, the times he would appear live. He ran with the MF Doom persona to the point where he would send out Doom bots and not perform. It would just be some other fucking rapper in his mask.
You fucking asshole. Oh my god, that's like some Andy Warhol level like bullshittery. I respect it from an artistic perspective. From a consumer perspective, oh dude.
I think at a certain point he started backing off of it some because he realized how it was disappointing people, but his initial point was like, I'm just in charge of this persona. Like, this isn't me. This is a character I'm playing, so I can do with this character what I want. Like,
Yeah, no, artistically it's brilliant. I just would be so mad if, like...
And so pretty much everything I did this weekend was, I don't know. For some reason, news of his death hit me hard. He was one of those artists that I would look up every now and then, but I would never skip over when their shit would come up on, like, the generated playlists on Spotify and stuff, or, like, back when I used Pandora a lot and stuff. Would never skip over. I had went into his catalog at different times in the past. So this weekend, I didn't get through his entire discography, but pretty much everything I did was set to one of his albums. And so to go along with that, I don't know why it hit me so hard, but...
There's some people that just happens. You're like, man, I didn't think you were going to mess me up.
So while I'm talking about him, I'll get my recommendations out of the way. I think the easiest two ways to get into him would probably be either his most critically acclaimed album, Mad Villainy from 2004, which he did in conjunction with producer Madlib. More than any other artist, whenever Doom would collabo with people, he would often collabo like an entire album instead of just one or two songs. Mm-hmm. And if we're
gonna do it, let's do it.
And in that case, he would also like come up with a group name just for that album. So that one's actually put out under Mad Villainy. Probably by far his most critically acclaimed and has just some insanely good tracks on it. I kind of feel the easier way to get into him is the album we put out the very next year with Danger Mouse, Danger Doom. The name of the album is The Mouse and the Mask.
Just Danger Doom. Just that's all we need. That's so good. I don't know the band. I'm gonna look it up.
That's also the one that was done in collabo with like Aqua Teen Hunger Force and stuff. Oh. Has a lot of samples from that in it. A lot of just kind of nerdy deep cut references, but also some really good intricate wordplay and rapping. Those are the two easiest ways to get into it, but I also have to point out the song Rap Snitch Knishes from Operation Doomsday, which is just a hilarious song about the tendency of rappers to talk about selling crack, to rap about selling crack while they're selling crack.
I feel like you've read that to me before. Like,
well, he references the 10 Crack Commandments.
Oh, okay, that's what I'm thinking of.
It's just a whole, it's really funny when you're sitting there and you're listening to what he's actually saying. Anyway, I don't know. I went on a huge Doom kick. I have to recommend it. It's what I'm going to continue listening to him through this week too. Probably now mixed in with some Children of Bodom because I just found out their lead guitarist passed. But
God, it's been a rough week for people.
So buy MF Doom, buy Alexi Laiho since I just mentioned him too.
Sorry, guys. So we have the news now in our new way of trying this, the Fantastic Four of the week. Both Tyler and I have picked news articles, each one themed after a member of the Fantastic Four. We'll start with, I had Mr. Fantastic and Invisible Woman, so we'll start with Mr. Fantastic, which is a real science, a real science thing, not a sci-fi thing or anything like that. And I was reading about how Earth's magnetic pole has drifted and like how fast it's drifted has sped up.
Okay.
The the WMM, which is the World Magnetic Model, has been updated and released a year ahead of schedule because the geographic and the magnetic North Poles are not at the same place on the planets.
Right.
The geographic one is, just the North Pole, what we think of. The magnetic one, it doesn't heavily affect anything, but just, magnetic north of the planet moves around, and traditionally it moves at about 10 kilometers a year. But it has sped up to 50 kilometers a year, and they don't know why. It is thought to be because of metals under the earth, like under the crust, that, there's a lot of fucking magma and stuff at that point that are moving around.
Mm-hmm.
So there might be something. It doesn't really affect anything. Like when I was first reading, I'm like, is this bad? Should I be worried about this?
I was gonna say, well, the magnetic poles suddenly flipping has been one of those weird conspiracy theories for a long time anyway. Like, that's something that could lead to an apocalypse.
Oh my god, everything would die. Yeah,
but
like,
it's just because it sounds bad, but nothing happens?
I just kept thinking of old school Doctor Who, where they would... Their answer to every time there was tech jargon, because John Pertwee didn't want to, like, have to learn fucking tech jargon, he would talk of, he was like, just give me one line. And so they went, reverse the polarity of the neutron flow. Same, and like scientists were like, that means nothing, right? Like, that means literally nothing. But it's good tech line. Mm-hmm. I mean, even in the 50th, they still tend to say, like, reverse the polarity. They stopped the neutron flow part, but what it really means is they're going to have to do some slight tweaks to GPS, which might go a little haywire, and the shifting, not the complete reversal. I don't know what would happen at that point.
Right.
Probably nothing, or nothing significant, and they're going to have to tweak some, like, takeoff and landing things for aircrafts, because they use a lot of, GPS and shit like that, and just magnets. I don't know. That makes me sound like a crazy person. Magnets, how the fuck do they work? God, I don't have anything against Insane Clown Posse, but I really hate that song. I really hate that song. I'm not really sciencey to know too much of what this means, other than it was kind of cool.
I have to imagine that it might affect, I don't know, like some birds' migration routes or something.
I could see something like that.
But it seems like you said, it's not like it doesn't already move around some, so maybe their systems are already taking that into account.
Who knows? I mean, it already moves. I just want to know why it's moving faster. Like, that's the part that would make me go, all right, yeah, I'll talk about it. Full confession, my original plan for this was I read an article about crashing on the moon, like an Israeli spacecraft crashing on the moon and spilling tardigrades out to the moon. So now water bears rule the moon.
As they should.
As they should. But it turns out that was from last year, and I just didn't notice the date. So, also, turns out that we have dropped tardigrades on the moon, and they're like, well, they're tardigrades, so they'll be fine.
They're thriving. Yeah, they're living their best life.
They're probably...
Guess who's not worried about COVID right now?
The fucking tardigrades on the moon. All right.
Also, if somebody could draw us a picture of tardigrades partying on the moon.
Send me a reminder. I should draw us a fucking picture of tardigrades on the moon.
That could be like our first shirt.
Oh, yes.
Tardigrades on the moon. Just because I love this idea right now. Just like holding hands and like prancing.
I'm 100% in. What about you? Let's go with Johnny Storm next.
Can we rename our podcast Tardigrades on the Moon?
Probably not. We already have the hats.
That's true. Damn it. Hat.
General Tardigrades on the moon.
What do we got? Johnny?
Johnny Storm.
All right.
The hot new thing of the week.
Hot new things. There's not much hot new because we were in the business of fucking turning over out of 2020.
Yeah, because it's COVID and New Year's and a bunch of politic things that I don't have the energy to talk about.
So the biggest things from the past weekend, right before we recorded this, is that with the new year, The Office left Netflix and is now on Peacock. Being on Peacock, not all of it's available unless you go for like the paid version, but it does come with some never before seen things.
Oh,
so if you're already like a big Office fan, there's new never before shit from The Office to go check out, which is kind of neat, including like a cold open where they completely ape The Matrix and try to convince Dwight he's in The Matrix, and Hank, the security man, is playing the part of Morpheus's twin brother Dorpheus.
Okay. Is that the same guy who plays what is that, the Brooklyn Bandit in the Pontiac Bandit in No, I'm thinking of someone else. I'm sorry.
Okay.
The I can't think of that actor's name. Black guy. He plays, I believe, the like warehouse manager or something in The Office, and he plays the Pontiac Bandit in Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Oh, Craig Robinson.
Yes, not Craig Robinson.
Not Craig Robinson. The late Hugh Dane.
Ah, okay. Sorry. The Office stressed me out, and I couldn't do it.
I lost count of the amount of times I've rewatched seasons 1 through 5.
You know, like, as I was watching it, I'm like, this is really funny, and I'm enjoying it. And then we got through the part that Pam and what's-his-name got together, and I'm like, that was the main thing, like, keeping me going. Now I'm just really uncomfortable at Steve Carell's character. I get that that's on purpose, so that's a choice, and it is very well done. It just sets off my anxiety. Like,
and since that's not much, just saying that there's new clips, there's also a giant rumor that Netflix is possibly going to start working on a Elder Scrolls TV series.
That could be interesting. It is a really slow week for fancy, exciting nerd news. It doesn't come up much right now.
And honestly, I know what your last story is, so I'm going to go into the Ben Grimm and get that boringness out of the way, too. There also was, like I said...
We're recording this just after New Year's, so most of this was the week between Christmas and New Year's, which already just doesn't exist in the first place. That's not how time works.
Yeah, and all the big news that's currently going on is not genre news.
We're not talking about that right now. I'll yell too much.
So this is interesting. The most thorough and in-depth look that I have seen about Marvel's The Eternals so far is because Red Wolf, a clothing company based out of India that's doing most of the tie-in merchandise, has released descriptions.
They are not fucking talking about Eternals.
And I have barely seen anything put out so far about Eternals, and it's supposed to be coming out this year, right?
I think so. I think
like
it's one
kind
of
of early
years.
This year.
And it's one of the ones that is like, could be most interesting. No one knows quite what to fucking expect from Jack Kirby's Space Gods. It's got a big name cast. Like, isn't Angelina Jolie in it?
Yeah, and Kit Harington from Game of Thrones.
Oh god, one of the funny comedian guy who's suddenly super buff and it's weirding people out.
Kumail Nanjiani.
That's the one. Really?
Dude.
Kumail?
Yeah, he got ripped. But I also love how
I would
honest
too if I
he's
got
been
paid that
about it.
much money to...
He's like, I can't do this by myself. This is because they sent me a person. Like, I requested it because they told me I didn't have to get in shape. But he's like, I want that Chris Pratt. Like,
I would want to try it too. I understand. You know, if someone was going to pay me an obscene amount of money and hire someone to make all those choices for me, sure, I'll try being stupid ripped for a while.
So, it's a little bit to read off here, but because it is the most information we've got from what's going to be the Marvel Cinematic Universe version of the Eternals.
Hit me.
And I know like nothing about the Eternals, so you can tell me how this sounds. I have a feeling these are going to be vague enough descriptions that it's going to fit for the comics, but...
The only full Eternals thing I've ever read is Neil Gaiman's run, which was a really weird Eternals run, although a pretty good comic book.
Okay.
But I've read up a lot on them because they're 70s stoner space gods.
So here's the information that is coming to us through Red Wolf, the clothing company, from their shit that they've been given from Marvel to give merchandise. Who makes up the Eternals team, you ask? Icarus is the tactical leader and most powerful Eternal and takes pride in keeping the other Eternals safe. Moral, kind, and charismatic, Icarus boasts the power of incredible strength, flight, and the ability to project beams of intense cosmic energy from his eyes. When the monstrous deviants return after centuries, Icarus leads the charge to unite the scattered Eternals to stop the new threat. You bet we'll have some Icarus t-shirts available as well. Cersei is the Eternal with an affinity for humanity. Cersei is happy working as a museum curator as she is as she is saving humans from the threat of the deviants. Cersei has the ability to manipulate matter, changing the makeup of any non-sentient material she touches. She's also been in love with Icarus for centuries and helps him to recruit the Eternals for one last mission.
Okay. Cersei is probably the most, like, successful... She was never created to be, like, the main Eternal, but probably the most successful Eternal that has been out in the wider world of Marvel, because she had a surprisingly long run on the Avengers.
Oh, okay.
For a good part of the early 90s and possibly late 80s, she was an Avenger with Black Knight, who was going to come up here.
We got Ajak, is the spiritual leader of the Eternals. Her wisdom has helped guide the team since they arrived here from their home planet to help defend humanity from the deviants and help humans advance to the modern civilization that they live in today. Ajak can not only heal humans and Eternals alike, but she is able to communicate with the Celestials as well. Phastos' best...
Selma Hayek is playing her. That's pretty great. Sorry.
Is blessed with the power of invention. He is able to create whatever he can imagine, provided that he has enough raw materials at his disposal. Over the centuries, Phastos has helped nudge humanity forward technologically, while always keeping his brilliance hidden in the shadows. Makari is the fastest woman in the universe. She uses her cosmically powered super speed to scout planets for the Eternals, and as the only deaf Eternal, the sonic boom that accompanies her cosmic running does not affect her.
Akari was a man in the comics, which, fucking, whatever, more power to you. But he was the main character of Neil Gaiman's run, where he becomes kind of a prophet.
Okay.
Which is weird. It's a weird comic book, but I actually really enjoyed it. Big doofy helmet that looks really cool. I'll be really curious to see if they even try, if they're like, no, we're not doing that. I don't think he's deaf in the comic either. If he was, it didn't come up in the Gaiman run.
Ooh, I know you mentioned Black Knight. He doesn't come up in their write-up. I'm looking at what they have left, and
I'm pretty sure he's who Harrington is.
I know, he's in the thing, but he's not in their write-up.
Harrington's not an Eternal. Not Black Knight is not an Eternal.
Right.
He just falls in love with Cersei during things. Their Avengers run together. He's mostly an asshole with an evil sword. I actually really like Black Knight, but the way to write him the last 2 years has been he's slowly losing his mind.
Okay.
Like, the sword is driving him crazy.
Let's see. The other one, Jesus. They still went through a lot of these, dude. Druid can use cosmic energy to control the minds of men. Druid has become withdrawn from the other Eternals because he disagrees with how they've interacted with mankind over the centuries. Aloof and powerful, at times it's hard to determine whether he's friend or foe. Gilgamesh is the strongest and kindest member of the team. He becomes Thena's de facto partner when events from the past exile them from the rest of the team. Capable of projecting a powerful exoskeleton of cosmic energy, Gilgamesh is a fierce warrior who has become legendary for his fights with deviants throughout history.
In the comics, I don't think Gilgamesh could make a psychic exosuit or whatever it was you just said.
Okay.
He was just
super powered.
He was a big strong guy. Him, big strong boy. Who was infinitely more boring than a character based off motherfucking Gilgamesh has any right to be. They just kind of were like, well, we've not done Sumeri yet. Gilgamesh is great. But they didn't have anything. His big thing was no one had ever heard of him before, and they're like, why not? And he's the first hero?
Powerful exoskeleton of cosmic energy kind of just sounds like Apache Chief, right?
Oh my god, you're right. I mean, it sounds cool. Like, that is a wonderful sentence that I'm glad exists. I just had never thought of it for Gilgamesh. Also, please make him gay or bi. Gilgamesh was so fucking gay for Enkidu. Thena, I believe.
Because it'd be what, Athena?
Probably, yeah. She bangs a deviant and has twins with it.
No. Thena, a fierce warrior more comfortable in battle than any other place, she has the ability to use cosmic energy to form any handheld weapon she can think of. Often surly and aloof, she forges an unlikely friendship with Gilgamesh that spans centuries. Kingo is the Eternal with the power to project cosmic energy projectiles with his hands. Over the centuries, he's become enamored with the idea of fame. In present day, he's a famous Bollywood star who must leave his life of wealth and celebrity to help the team repel a new deviant threat. I think we know who Kumail Nanjiani is.
Yes, I had to look it up because people at work were like, who's Kumail playing? And I'm like, I don't know. Figure it out. This is your thing to know. And I'm like, Kango. And they're like, who is Kango? And I'm like, I'm going to have to figure that one out too. He's not a major one. In the original, though, he was Japanese and he was a samurai movie star.
Oh, okay.
Turning him into a Bollywood movie star is a kind of fun way of... There's something really funny about turning a Bollywood star into an action hero to me. Like, that's
going to be
so good. Clever.
That's going to be good.
And no one fucking cares about Kingo in the first place. It's Kingo.
And finally, Sprite, who happens to be a 12-year-old girl. Sprite has the ability to cast lifelike illusions. Her friendship with Cersei hides a world-weary sadness because she's been treated like a child by humanity for centuries. But Sprite is much stronger and cleverer than she appears, which will come in handy as while they battle with the deviants.
Another one that was a boy in the comic, and I'm pretty sure gets murdered at one point by Zuras, the head of the Eternals. Because he, fucked around and found out.
Okay.
He was not... Sprite was not in the right in that story where he gets killed. I mean, don't kill people. But same thing. We will definitely do an Eternals episode when it comes out, just because I'm so fascinated to see what is that even going to be. And they got Kieran Gillen, who's one of my favorite comic writers, to write a new Eternals comic to come out around the same time, which he's just fucking weird enough to be perfect for this. Anyways, it is time for our Sue Storm, which is the news piece you might have missed. Let's be honest, a lot of times in my case, it is going to be comic stuff because that's stuff that isn't as noticed as opposed to big movie news. But it is also the week that we were talking about in between Christmas and New Year's, so there hasn't been a whole hell of a lot. But Marvel has made a big deal about the fact that in Amazing Spider-Man 62 by Nick Spencer and Patrick Gleason, Spider-Man will be getting a new costume. It sounds like Gleason was involved in the design, but it was mostly Dustin Weaver who really threw it together.
Okay.
Gleason has been an artist that I've been really fond of for 15 years now, and he did a really great Superman run before heading over to Marvel. And Marvel has decided he's one of their young new talents, which is confusing to me because he's been around for a while. But Dustin Weaver his work can be a little wooden sometimes, but it is some of the most straight up beautiful comic work that's come out in years. From a purely artistic skill level. It's an interesting costume. They're treating it like it's going to be a big, permanent change. No one believes that, because if the black and white Venom costume can't become permanent, as fucking classic as that look is, you're going to go back to the red and blue. It's Spider-Man.
This one keeps reminding me of something, and I can't quite think of what it is.
It is going to look like absolute fire when it comes up in one of the future Sony Spider-Man games.
That's true.
It is going to look so fucking good in this. If you haven't seen it, it follows a lot of the same design of classic Spider-Man, except instead of the red with webs part, it is white. And it's got a bigger spider that it glows, and there's a bunch of neon linings. And it is much more techie looking.
Yeah. Obvious techie looking.
Yes, it looks much more like a helmet that he's wearing, which is not a bad idea. If you're going to fight crime, some kind of actual protective helmet instead of a mask tends to be a good call.
Yeah, it is I hadn't really caught on the fact it's more helmety, but you can even sort of see where it connects in the back.
Yeah, I can basically see where the seams would be.
Mm-hmm.
The thing that revealed it really is look at how they do the ear.
Right.
It is very kind of round. I think I like it the more I'm looking at it. There is something a little off about it, and if they keep it in the long run, they will end up making slight modifications likely to make it... I think it's just a little too busy.
The eyes remind me of Gur.
Oh, never am seeing that. The eyes made me think of Blue Beetle.
Oh, yeah, I see that too.
They're kind of instead of the classic Spider-Man shape, they've got kind of a black area that's Spider-Man shape, and then kind of orby, round, more
like
actually bug looking. Yeah, kind of moth going lamp meme eyes sticking out. It's cool. I looked at it and automatically started thinking about how I would make it. I didn't notice until I saw it on a bigger screen that it looks like it's all white at first, but it's got
there's some. It looks like some gray that's
techie look. I think that's completely unnecessary.
There's gray that's not shading. That's for sure. There's gray that's like the suit.
I would not have done that. I would have just kept it all white because it is already using black, white, blue, and then a kind of orangey red glow. Adding in gray makes it super complicated.
It's a tiny little quibble, but my least favorite thing on it is the boxiness of the back of the hands. Mm-hmm. It looks like there's some sort of, I don't know, some sort of computer set into the back of them. So maybe it's to switch up the type of webbing he's using or something. But
yeah, I bet you money that it's going to have a little holographic display that like pops up and he can, Tony Stark it.
But it's weirdly boxy compared to the rest, for me.
Yeah, if they had integrated some of that into his boots as well, I think it would have worked better. Like, there's ways you could have made it work, but it's unnecessary.
What I think will be dope is him appearing behind somebody in, like, shadow and you having only the suit fucking...
The glow bits and the glow eyes. No, I think it's got some really strong aspects to it. For some reason, I keep expecting him to have, like, ninja tabby boots. The kind of like two-toed boots, but he does not. And I don't know why I feel like he needs to have it. The more we're talking about it, the more I like it, but I do think that it needs to get slightly pared down for simplicity's sake. But I am also an overly simplistic costume design person. Like, I don't want, for the most part, insane details for something that's going to have to be drawn 40 times in a comic book.
Yeah. I definitely don't hate it. I definitely don't hate it. It's still going to take a little bit of getting used to. I think, like you said, it's going to look fucking amazing in a video game.
It's not built for a comic book, I think, is my biggest problem with it. It is built for a video game. It's perfect, or a movie. I wouldn't be surprised to see a variation of this pop up in Spider-Man 3. Which is fine. It's just a little weird. That's
news.
That's news. So, Feet of Clay by Terry Pratchett, once again diving into the watch of Ankh-Morpork. You had this up. What year did this book come out?
96.
And what number in the Discworld? Do we know what...
It is 19th in the Discworld.
And the third Ankh-Morpork City Watch book.
Right. Although the fourth story concerning them.
Yes, because they did a very short story. I read it. It takes less than 5 minutes to read, but it was cute. Mm-hmm. I don't remember what that one is called, but worth checking out. The reason we picked this, years later after it came out, is Ankh-Morpork, or The Watch on BBC finally launched, I believe, yesterday or today. When we're recording this, the first episode came out.
And we haven't checked it out yet.
Obviously. But we've talked about it enough that we're going to check it out. And Cheery Littlebottom is a major character in it, and this is the book she's introduced. So I wanted to make sure that you had all of the characters...
Before I get to that version.
Yes. Because, one, I'm very curious to see what I think of that version, because they wildly changed the character. But I also wanted you to get Cheery unfiltered from the TV show.
Right.
In the same way that I would want you to have, like, Sam Vimes or Carrot.
Although now I've had a bit of them.
Yes.
Which is great. I'm not saying it's bad.
Yeah, this is your third experience with Vimes. I do think that This is not my favorite watch book, but I do think this is right around the time that Terry Pratchett took another one of his like uptick in qualities when it came to his writing. There's a few points in the series where you just go, oh, he became a significantly better author between this book and this one. And they're all good. I've never read a Terry Pratchett thing I didn't like. I mean, even though we spent most of the last episode talking about the last Pratchett episode or the last Discworld episode talking about Terry's flaws, he's still so fucking good.
And once again, we
all over myself.
And with that last one, we are talking a lot more from a today perspective rather than when it came out. I think we both feel like he was probably far more progressive than not, even with the flaws that were in his last one.
Yeah, and you can critique something and still like it. So, you know, I mean, that was one of my favorite books that we critiqued. But also, we're going to try not to do that quite as much. One, I think he has a better balance of how to express social issues a little better by the time he's doing this, because he's done a couple books with that. And just, two, it would get boring to do episode after episode of here's where Terry was imperfect.
Right. And I don't want to do that because even with us doing that last episode, like, fucking loved that book.
Oh, so good. Anyways, this book
I enjoyed more.
It's a better written book. And he's found his feet a lot more with what he wants to do with these characters.
I do want to get my one big criticism out of the way.
No, I'm not opening this saying we can't criticize this.
No, I mean, I would also rather focus on, like, the positives, especially after the last time. But there was one change that bugged me.
What's that?
Even though I feel like this might be my favorite overall watch book, maybe so far, I'm still thinking hard on that one.
It didn't have nearly enough Sybil Vimes in it. Like any.
He really smartened up Detritus. Like, to the point where he's almost not recognizable as the same character to me.
Detritus is much smarter. I think part of it is, they don't mention it in this book, so it's easy to forget about. By this point, Detritus has his thinking helmet that Cuddy made him. And it will come up in later books again. And I think if they had made some mention of it, but you're right, Detritus has, he is much smarter than he was, where he was ridiculously dumb in what is that, Men-at-Arms. He is a capable sergeant, but still kind of dumb in this one. I think part of it can be explained by we have found something that Detritus is really good at, and like have encouraged
his growth.
Yeah, encouraged his
time
growth,
is obviously passed.
I think a year is supposed to have passed in this point, but it is. You're right. It is a really significant. Terry Pratchett was always pretty willing to alter a character as he needed to befit a story, which is fine. It's a completely legitimate choice. It does sometimes drag them a little farther than you would expect them to go.
Yeah, like I said,
It wasn't Detritus in this book. He has like two of the funniest scenes to me.
That's the thing. It's like, it's not that I didn't like the character. It's just that it wasn't recognizable to me as being Detritus.
The moment it starts, the very end, but I'm going to make sure to not reveal anything with it. One thing that they make fun of a couple times in this is the habit they have in like cop serials to have someone like put their finger in something and like taste it and be like, yep, that's cocaine. And Detritus does that, and then he's like, did I just do that? And they're like, yeah. And he goes, well, that explains what the spiders comes. And then like passes out and like, perfect. It was just comedic.
That was really good. This book was also, it was weird for me, not in a bad way, it was just weird. You'd mentioned before the evolution of Terry's writing style and how this one's another step up. This is the least amount of footnotes I'd ever seen him use.
See, I've only listened to the audiobook, so I didn't know that. That's actually really interesting.
And he contained, the comedy changed some. a lot more of it was within the actual characters' dialogues rather than asides to the audience.
That definitely does decrease, and his use of gags decrease, like, if that makes any sense.
Mm-hmm. There's still some good ones in there.
Yeah, I mean, he's still Terry Pratchett, but he is much more... I feel like at this point in Terry's writing, or at least this phase, and it lasts for up through about Thud, he becomes much more interested in exploring the characters than he is setting up, like, the literary equivalent of sight gags. And in some ways it leads to stronger writing, but it does reduce some of the Terryisms a little bit as a result, if that makes any sense.
I get the description that kept coming to me as I was reading it was this one seems a lot more subtle than his earlier works.
Yeah, that's definitely true. He does have... There's an ongoing joke of instead of saying bricks, it is square building things or something like that. Like Detritus tries to say, I'll come down on you like a ton of bricks, and instead I'll come down on you like a ton of square building things. And it becomes an ongoing gag thread. So there's still those Terry stuff, but I feel like especially if you go back to his earlier stuff like Color of Magic, he would have just beaten that joke into the ground. Or that kind of joke.
How much are we trying to sell this, and how much are we going to talk about spoilers?
I don't want to spoil the big mystery. Does that mean, like... I don't mind talking a little bit about it and some of the stuff they're trying to figure out. I don't want to spoil, like, what the answer is. I don't mind spoiling character growth as much, but I want to leave the murder mystery plot as is because I really enjoy the murder mystery plot on this one.
Okay.
And I do think it's one of his better written, like...
Well, see, there's the thing, like,
whodunits.
the character growth is fine in this one, but there's no big moments, and it's not about getting the characters to accept certain things like it was in, say, Men-at-Arms, but there's theming that does tie into...
There's some theming. I was thinking about this when I was listening to this over the weekend. The character growth is... You said subtle already. The character growth is way more subtle in this one. As it's more characters figuring out, not being, like, forced into a new position, but they're in this new position, and they are becoming, like... comfortable in it. And I think the best way I can kind of make this, like, finding a place, they have found a place where they belong, and now they're becoming more true to themselves in that place they belong. Vimes, I think, gets some of the most subtle character growth in this book, because at the very beginning of this, Vimes is trying to figure out who the hell he is now. Because he has basically struck gold as well beyond what anyone could have hoped for. He has married an amazing woman who is also just so happens to be the richest woman in the city. He is now one of the most powerful people in the city from being one of the, like, least powerful people in the city. And he is in a position where he can actually affect real change in Ankh-Morpork. That is all. It is everything that he has ever dreamed from. And he's also not drinking anymore. Mm-hmm. Which it was nice to see a Vimes that didn't just have a period of where he dissolved. We had that twice. There's some funny stuff in it. I was glad not to see it anymore. Also, I enjoy stories where the character's an alcoholic, but not every story has to be about them falling off the wagon or almost falling off the wagon. Mm-hmm. And Vimes is feeling trapped in the beginning of this because he grew up poor, but now to, like, the poor and the average people... He's the rich, snobby shit. But to the upper crust, he's a jumpstart little poor person who thinks that he's special. And he goes from not being sure how to balance these things to, by the end, accepting that he lives somewhere in between, and that because he lives somewhere in between like that, he can actually protect people in a way that not really anyone else could. Mm. He gets to be the voice for the poor people that he's always thought that, you know, the common man has needed.
You already just pointed out all the reasons why he's able to do this. I just enjoyed seeing him competent throughout because he stayed clean. Like, it's really cool seeing his thought processes on this. It's actually a really good, like, mystery story, the way it unfolds. And most of the mystery section is driven by Vimes trying to get it done and ordering the others into these positions. And so seeing him as a truly capable leader throughout.
Mm-hmm. Leader being, I think, the important thing, because Vimes himself admits he's not overly smart. He's not dumb by any stretch of the imagination, but he's not brilliant. He's not a Sherlock Holmes detective. He's street smart, which has led him to be able to solve some stuff, but he's really good at getting, Cheery, or...
He knows that, like, this is something I need to put Cheery on. This is something I need to put Carrot on. This is something...
Here's a good place to use Detritus. He knows how to take advantage of the people who work for him in a way that he wasn't capable of when he was a drunk.
Mm-hmm.
Also, while he still has some kind of problematic, I'm not racist, I hate everyone, you do get to watch a whole shit ton of evolution of him as a character in that respect. As he sees other people say shitty things, and he's like, he almost becomes not racist and an ally out of spite.
Mm-hmm.
Because he sees other people that he looks down on be disgusting, and he's like, I'm gonna prove that guy fucking wrong. You see him start to get over his distrust of the undead here. He doesn't make it all the way, but he starts to get over his distrust of the undead. He before had been like, no undead, no zombies in the Watch. Immediately hires them on when someone says something shitty to him.
Mm-hmm. He does end up getting kind of vindicated by his continued hate of vampires, but it's easier to let it slide in this one because it's not the point of the book.
Yes. It's not the point that, it turns out all vampires suck. It will take Terry a few more books before he really starts examining vampires as a concept here.
Mm-hmm.
In this one, vampires are still much more they manipulate and they hunt other people, so it lets them use allegories like the rich and powerful who prey on the weak.
Mm-hmm.
Dragon King of Arms is creepy as all fucking get out, though, so...
I hated his speech pattern so much.
Oh my god, and hearing it spoken, like in an audiobook, does not make it better, let me promise you that.
Oh, I bet.
The person who did it had made him always sound kind of mucusy.
I hate it already.
Yeah, it was a very, it was a good character choice for him. It made that, creepy laugh he would do in the middle of stuff better, but, I love, at the very beginning, you see how much Vimes is actually making a difference with how often the assassins are trying to kill him now.
Oh,
and the amount of, traps that he has sent to, stop the assassins. He keeps, bear traps in all of his hedges, and will put shingles on his roof on, wheels on one of them. So when an assassin goes to, try and get a position, they'll just suddenly go flying off.
Mm-hmm.
Fall into the dragon pen.
I wish that came up more throughout it, but that was a fun way to open up the book.
It never becomes a major plot point. It does become kind of a more ongoing theme as higher and higher ranking assassins are trying to take out Vimes, and Vimes being like, you guys suck. Man, I got street smarts.
It was neat kind of getting to see the drawbacks of Carrot.
Carrot's a little sexist. Carrot is the traditional action, Prince Valiant hero, and those characters are a lot of times a little sexist.
I wasn't even thinking that part of it. I mean, that gets brought up a little bit, and he has a little bit to go, but he's also not the worst about it.
No, he's not
Especially
by any stretch of the imagination,
yeah.
But it is interesting to see Carrot get flaws. What were you...
It's kind of everything... I mean, pick a scene where Angua's thinking about him and not actually talking to him and what she thinks about him. And it's basically... Every single one of those scenes is listing off, these things where,
He's really infuriating to be around.
Yeah, the only reason, like, this is cool is because he legitimately is a believer.
Yeah, he's... you would be a really obnoxious cynic if you didn't somehow, like, 100% believe these things.
But it's not... He tries to keep too many people happy at once, but and he's too good at it.
We are at this point seeing Carrot and Vimes rubbing off on each other, much more, like, ingrained into their personalities. Vimes seems to have taken to it better than Carrot has. Like, Carrot hasn't evened out quite as much. Because with Vimes, it's just being forced to realize that he does care about people. He's just pissed about it. Which, one of my all-time favorite character archetypes is the hero that wants to save everyone but is mad about that fact.
Carrot needs to learn that it's okay to play favorites.
A little bit. And it's okay to... Yeah, actually, I don't think I have a better way of putting it than that.
Because he values his relationship with everybody the same amount.
Mm-hmm. And I think he values...
or he at least
seems
acts like it. Yeah. His actions are that of...
I think he cares about everyone just as much. He just cares about Angua in a very different way. But because he doesn't really know how to explain that in a way, he just is like, yeah, I love you.
Mm-hmm.
But you're like, but you love everyone. And in Carrot's mind, he's like, yeah, but I love you this way. Like, Carrot is, in some ways, I think, kind of that concept of there isn't actually a limit on love. There's just different kinds of love for different relationships in your life. But for someone who would treat that absolutely equally for every person he met, I can understand how that would be the most infuriating thing in the world to date.
Mm-hmm.
And Angua, who is already so jumpy and so ready to leave at the drop of a hat, because she's a werewolf, like, some people take that real personal. She's spending this whole time being like, there's no way this can last. And Carrot's like...
Not really helping things.
You're great! That's great! Everything is great! She's like, do I mean nothing to you?
Mm-hmm.
He's like, what do you mean? You're great! Like, God damn it, Carrot. Like, there are a few points, because it turns out Angua has a thing about golems. We'll get into golems in a little bit. And she gets mad at Carrot being like, can't you just once be, like, petty or flawed or show human emotions? And that doesn't land as well when he is pretty sexist against Cheery at a couple of points here. And I don't mind Carrot's a little sexist and has to, like, unlearn some of that shit. That's a thing that more people need to read about, honestly. Mm-hmm. More guys need to read about that as a positive thing. But it does make that argument not land as well when I'm like, come on, Carrot, get your head out of your ass about something else. Cheery. Since I just mentioned her, and since she's the main reason I had you, let's talk about Cheery Littlebottom.
Cheery is great. Cheery's a lot of fun.
I really love the scene where she first meets Vimes and she's revealing her name. And by the way, everyone thinks she's a boy at first, or a guy, man, whatever, because dwarven men and women both act as, like, men.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they don't separate the sexes as long as you just act like this one gender.
And it's to the point where dwarves are guessing most of the time.
And we'll get into that right after this. But I really love the point of Cheery has to give her name, and she's like, oh, no, I'm going to get laughed at here. And Vimes is just like, oh, great. Nice to see those old dwarven names, like, the old naming traditions kept, which is also, I think, a big growth point of Vimes. I think in Man-at-Arms he would have said something shitty.
Mm-hmm.
And he Pratchett describes it as her, like, when you know a tooth is hurt and you keep poking it, she keeps being like, I did tell you my name, right? Cheery Littlebottom. And my dad was, I don't remember what the first part was, but something Littlebottom, and, like, it's also bad.
Funny.
And Vimes is like, yep, Yep, you mentioned it's right here on the... And then, like, after she leaves, he has to, like, go lock himself in a closet or something so he can, like, just die laughing from what a ridiculous name that is in English.
Have you ever had to do that? Because I had to do that before.
Yeah, where you're like, that name means something way different in my language. And that's not your fault. I'm not going to laugh at you for that. But it's still like
Or
someone
just-
being named Richard hurts. Like,
I just that part hit. I laughed real hard at that because it reminded me of something that I hadn't thought of in years when I used to work at Kmart, and we had a guy. Was he regional manager? A regional manager that we were scared of. His name was Marv. Until, like, me and my ex, my girlfriend at the time, both worked there together. Both Latinx, and we knew he was too. And we're like, we know his name's not Marv. And she worked front desk and got to see some official paperwork one time. We found out what his full name was. It was Marviel. And we're just like, oh, no wonder he... It's a beautiful name. It's an extremely feminine name for a guy that was that scary.
and you know, like, I'm not sure it's the good part of me that laughs when I read, like, Cherry Littlebottom and, like, but also, you know, if something makes you laugh, especially because of, like, language differences, but you need to laugh, but you're not being a dick about it, from my super white boy not qualified to say any of this, okay. Like,
and that's the thing. Like, we never laughed at him about it, but we had to go to the side for a second. Like, are you kidding me? Like, that's Marv's real name. Like,
also, when I hear Marviel is never one I would have thought of. Cheery is a really interesting way of looking at feminism, and an aspect of feminism that I still see us as a culture struggle with. That an aspect of feminism is it is okay to be girly if you want to be. Like, it is, you know, it is bad if you have to makeup and skirts and all of these things. But if you want to, then you should man or woman, really, or in between, or other, anyways, you should be allowed to be as girl femme as you want to be. And as they put it, the dwarves... You can be any gender you like as long as you act male.
mm-hmm.
Is a super problematic concept that I've not necessarily seen act male, but, you know, you can be whatever you like as long as you do the thing that forces you to, like, conform. I thought this was a pretty good way of talking about it. I have heard of a bunch of people who really love Cheery as trans identity. Which I think is a completely legitimate way of looking at it. I hear that in the show she's non-binary, which I don't like, just because being a woman was so important to who Cheery is here.
Right, and that's now kind of bugging me about the show too, because it wasn't just important to who she was. She started inspiring some of the other dwarf women, even by the end of this book. They're like, no, we want to change things up a little bit now that we're seeing that we can.
And it's somewhere around here that Pratchett starts to find dwarves more interesting. You can find the points where you can see an idea starting to click in Terry's mind when you read these books. Mm-hmm. Because you know that, like, 4 books later, suddenly it's a major plot thing. There's several big dwarf stories that will come up in the Discworld from this point. And dwarven views on gender... is it's not the defining point of all of those stories, but it becomes a just recurring theme in dwarf stories. And I think it's really important that Cheery got to do that. And also, I have no problem with a non-binary character. Like, yes, please, give us more non-binary representation.
Just this character, it seems...
It is so important to Cheery that she be allowed to be a woman, that taking her away feels like substituting one representation for another. Like, we can only have so much representation in this show, so you know, we have to replace it with Cheery. Honestly, Nobbes would have been my choice.
Yeah, Nobbes makes sense.
Which, that's a risk on that one, because one of the running themes of Nobbe is that he's ugly, and I don't want to, send wrong messages there. But there's something so interesting about Nobbe in the first place that, I don't know. For some reason, I feel like it would work. Does start wearing dresses in later books.
I'm not sure if I knew that. I think you mentioned it before, but I don't know if I remembered it was Nobbes.
And it does a pretty good job of not being
bad about it.
Yeah, it's not perfect, but it does lead to some interesting character growth for Nobbe, which I never thought. Nobbe is timeless as Nobbe, and he doesn't really stop either, but
Nobbe was used in an interesting way in this one. Nobbes didn't have much growth himself, but tied heavily into the themes because of who he was and how people changed themselves around them when there was a hint that he might be a knob.
Turns out that it looks like Nobbe is actually the Earl of Ankh. And it's a major story point, and my favorite part of this is Nobbes is pissed about it. He does not want to be the fucking gentry.
Right.
He is class solidarity, although in a very craven way, because he's like, if money came with it, sure, but if you're just going to give me the title, this sucks.
And then he wasn't at all impressed by when he was invited into high society.
He's like, all of this is bullshit. What am I gonna do with myself? Nobbe and Colin, neither one get major character arcs, but they get small fun bits with them. I think Colin becomes diminishing returns after this book. I think this is my favorite Colin story. He is 6 weeks from retirement, and there's a lot of jokes about that. And Colin is going to go retire and live on a farm while clearly knowing absolutely nothing about how farms work. He picks up a book about animal husbandry, and he's really nervous because he's not quite sure what that means. And he's like, oh, it's how to breed animals. And he goes, but how will I get the animals to read the book? So they'll know how to do it. You're like, oh, Colin, you are not ready for life.
Colin, weirdly, of all the characters, was the one most used as a punchline in this book.
Yeah.
Because like I said, at least all of the Nobbe scenes, even when he is being a walking joke, it ties into the theme.
Colin is comedic relief in this one. He is just, if you need a break from all of the themes, switch to a Colin episode. And I think part of it is everyone is figuring out who they are, and for the most part, Colin already knows who he is. It's
and
just
he just
him
wants
realizing,
to go relax.
and him also realizing that he doesn't actually really want to change. Well, everyone is changed and coming to terms with it. He's like, I'm supposed to change, but do I really want to do that? Colin becomes a problem in this one because him and Nobbe are the useless, unchanging remainders of the original Watch. And I think they're important characters in that right. And it's why it worries me that they're not in the TV show. I'm glad Detritus is. It's, BBC CGI, but still, it's Detritus.
Yeah.
But Colin becomes increasingly difficult to deal with because Nobbe works because he's that kind of corrupt bullshit policeman who really shouldn't be allowed on the force, but they can get some stuff done because he's got an understanding of the underworld in ways that no one else can because he's a little fucking thief himself. Colin is kind of the old views out of date cop, and especially in the year of our Lord 2020 or 2021, I got a lot less patience for the old school kind of racist cop.
Right.
Than I did. So, the world has changed in a way that makes me way less forgiving of Colin. It's kind of like Scully and Hitchcock from Brooklyn Nine-Nine, and Scully, the useless one, remains kind of charming, but Hitchcock, the gross one, increasingly, I'm like, you're the worst. He's not the worst here, but there's a few points where I'm like, oh, Fred, oh no.
He always weirdly reminds me of, I think it was one of the desk sergeants from The Wire.
That tracks. He is like the eminent, been there too long cop sergeant.
Mm-hmm. Well, we haven't really talked... Well, I mean, we mentioned Carrot a little bit, and Carrot and Angua. I feel like we didn't... And the Angua stuff is kind of interesting, just how much she is ready to bolt throughout all this.
This is...
It felt more like setup than anything, though, and I think you mentioned before, like, you do go into, like, the Uberwald stuff more and later on.
Yes. This is... Angua is an interesting one because I think sometimes Pratchett kind of does Angua dirty because she never quite... All Angua's stories kind of end up being more as like set up for major developments in the men around her. She never quite gets a full arc in her own right that's not about a dude, about her dad or her brother or Carrot in a lot of cases, or her relationship with Carrot. She kind of becomes defined by that, which is too bad because Angua is such an interesting character to me. Angua in this one is the person who has started putting down roots but hasn't yet realized that they're putting down roots or hasn't yet admitted that they're putting down roots. She's like, I'm going to have to go. Carrot's going to have to, like... And it's not going to work with Carrot, and then it, turns out that it's really easy in some ways to make it work with Carrot, because he knows you for who you are, and he loves you anyways. Mm-hmm. And she keeps, like, putting these expectations on him that he doesn't necessarily have. And I don't know if it's a failure in Pratchett's writing that, like, she's certain that he is bothered by the way people treat her as a werewolf. As a minority, let's be honest here. Where she's like, I'm used to it, but it really bothers him. And I don't know if that actually is the thing that really bothers him, and she is, like, reading it, and his plot gets kind of abandoned, or if it's actually that it's stuff that bothers her that she's saying, oh, but it bothers Carrots, because she doesn't want to admit that this shit bothers her, or... Well, I don't feel like this story plot of her being like, man, it's really bugging Carrot that people treat me different for being a werewolf, was ever really resolved?
I'm not sure if it was meant to be. So
that's fair.
I kind of felt like the problems that were being illustrated in Carrot, especially through the character of Angua, were supposed to show all the reasons why Carrot wouldn't make a good king.
I can see that in some ways.
Because a lot of the big theming of this book is... This is the most sharp critique, like, anti-monarchy we've had throughout the watch.
By this point, Pratchett, which is funny because... And I don't know how much Pratchett... I don't think Pratchett's in favor of kings, which is great because he was knighted and he was real into being knighted. Mm-hmm. By this point, Vimes' anti-king thing, which was mentioned a bit in Man-at-Arms, is, like, solidified.
This is by far the most anti-monarchy it's been so far. It's tied in really heavily to the fact that most monarchies claim some sort of divine mandate. Mm-hmm. And that isn't explored as heavily, but is also themed throughout, especially with the way that the golems run.
Yeah. And the rightful king kind of concept. How do we stretch that? Which was a super classic monarchy thing to do, of being like, yeah, totally that person has a right to be a king. They're a someone. See, I wrote this down.
And is just kind of the book overall also outright says it a couple times, is a commentary and critique of the fact that masses of people tend to try to put one person in charge. Mm-hmm. And they make fun of the whole concept of, well, they did it. And it's always they, and it's this really big, vague they. And you see the workings to try to create a leader from at least 3 different sources.
Okay, so... I think I know what you're going, but why do you think Carrot would be such a bad king? Because in some ways he'd be a really excellent king.
In some ways he'd be an excellent king. He's not willing... he's not willing enough. Like, it's kind of what I went to before. He's not willing enough to play favorites. He's trying to keep everybody happy all the time, and that's something you can't do, especially once you're in a position where you're actually having to rule that many people.
Yeah, this is...
The patrician rules not by keeping people happy, but actually by keeping people pissed at each other, but in an organized way.
And not even so much pissed at each other as in...
Pissed at him. But it's better to have him around than not.
I really think it's an interesting way of looking at the patrician, because before when we've seen the patrician, Vetinari's been a really dark character, especially in like Guards. He's a really cynical character. And in this one, you're seeing that he is cynical, but he's kind of doing good through his cynicism. Like he is using his really dark view of human nature that he keeps getting proved right on to make things better for everyone overall. Like, there's not, nearly as much wild inequity, even though there is still a ton of wild inequity, but things are going overall upwards for everyone.
And I guess I just sort of saw it as, I agree that I think Carrot would be overall better than not, by a long shot. He would set unfortunate precedent for bringing back in a monarchy, and there's no guarantee that the person after Carrot would be as noble, but which is part of the problem of Carrot. But the bigger problem is that through... Carrot would unintentionally be very both sidesist. The way he treats Angua is the way that special interest groups would be treated in his kingdom.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, okay, I can definitely see that. At this point, a major theme seems to be like, we have moved beyond kings, we don't need to come back to it. And Carrot believes it because Vimes believes it. That is, I think, another failure of Carrot's, although he does it in a way that works out because he's Carrot, is he is too willing to look up to Vimes in some cases, I think.
I see. Like, I see what you're getting at. I see it a little bit more as we're lucky that he ran into Vimes.
I absolutely agree there, and I do like,
because I think Carrot could have been molded by someone else to much more devious ends.
Yeah, if someone, like, let's be honest, if Dragon King of Arms, the vampire in this, had found Carrot instead, things would have gone really, really badly. But having someone to really force Carrot to think about, like, again, kind of what I was saying about the patrician, of using that cynicism to help people. He's taking the cynicism, but he's finding the good way to look at it and, like, really believing it. It's lucky for both Vimes and Carrot that they have each other.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the golems a little bit.
The golems were cool. I kept getting distracted by the fact that they had all, like, legit, like, Jewish names.
Yeah.
Which, I thought was a cool reference to where the lore of golems originally come from. But the fact that they named one Meshuggah, which is also the name of a really influential metal band, just...
was a little distracting to you? Yes, I can see that. This is, I believe, the first time that golems appear in the Discworld, or if it's not the first time, it's the first time they get, like, a major story point. Usually when something like this of, like, now it's the golems, means that it's something that got mentioned in passing in an earlier Disc novel that Pratchett went, that would be fun. Like, remember that thing like four books ago? I think I could make a book about that. So they might have appeared earlier than this. Golems are kind of droids from Star Wars.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways. They are engineered to work. They don't have voices. They make Vimes's kind of role and realization that he needs to speak for the voiceless extremely fucking literal in this. Something is going on with the golems is like one of the major plot points. But
well, in this book as a whole almost is an extended version of that... God, what's the name of the Star Trek episode we covered?
Measure of a Man. Yeah.
This
like,
book is kind of
are they people or not? It's a classic, usually science fiction trope, so it's kind of fun to see it brought into fantasy. I would be curious. I could be really overthinking this. I'd be curious to see what Jewish fans think of the use of golems. I've met a few. I have a few Jewish friends that are not a big fan of golems being used in fiction from non-Jewish creators in kind of an appropriation kind of way.
Well, and I especially wonder what they would think of the outcome because of what Dorfel ends up being the first one of. Mm-hmm. And how all that's used. Sorry,
guys, it's hard to talk about these without...
I'm trying to think,
do we want to give up on not spoiling or not? Or I really...
We've went this far.
Okay, we
can
do
From here
this.
on out, there might be spoilers.
Okay.
How am I... So, Dorfel, golems are basically ran on scripture. Mm-hmm. They're ran on the word. It's the words in their head. It's analogous to a computer program. Like you said, they're kind of just the droids. But when you, actually get bits of what it says on those scrolls in this...
It's mostly scripture.
It reads a lot more like...
Well, it's the holy words. They say them a couple of times. They don't never say it's, a Jewish faith, but just that ancient priests used to do it.
And then he gets
his own words in his head.
Is that golems always have to have a master, which I think you could stretch to be problematic, but I think that also just fits within the lore. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? But he gets given his own words so that he's master of his words so that he's his own master and becomes the first ceramic atheist.
Pratchett's got a really interesting relationship with atheism and religion. And he was pretty careful, from what I can tell, to not really land on one side or the other, which I think is infinitely more interesting when it comes to the religion versus atheism debate than being like, no, the other side is wrong. Mm-hmm. Because one, we don't know. I mean, there is no way to know what happens. I'm sorry, my agnostic flag is flying really strong here. There is no way to really know until it happens. So I try not to disrespect either side on that front. And people being like, religious people are dumb annoys me just as much as atheists are dumb and going to hell. And it comes up a lot in Small Gods, where he... sorry, this is where I was trying to go, and then I got distracted with, yay, agnosticism! Is he wrote Small Gods, which is a heavy examination of religion, and he talked about getting letters from both sides of the debate of atheism versus, believing in a god. Being like, thank you, your book really, reinforced this side or reinforced this belief. And he's like, it was equal numbers too. Both sides love it. So I could see, I did not in any way read this as a denunciation of religion, even though Dorfel kind of becomes an atheist.
I would say he's
as much as an atheist as you can in a world where the gods are definitively real and definitively show up and meddle.
Right. He's kind of Sonya, right?
I could see that. Yeah, Sonya from Dresden Files of I'm an atheist, but also I am God's agent. It's complicated.
Right. I guess I'm not saying it's for sure problematic or for sure would be something that would piss people off, but with the way that character goes, I could understand if it did.
Yeah.
I think there's things within his story, though, too, that you could argue, it's the difference between simply being taught something and actually believing in something, because before the words were simply in his head, but he's allowed to keep on living because he took the words into his heart.
And yeah, I mean, there's a lot of, I really love the Dorfel storyline. I think it is there's some very poignant bits to it.
The humanity aspect is mirrored with the fact that, like the humans are trying to do throughout the entire thing, and this is where spoilers come in, the golems also try to create a king.
Yeah. And so way too many words in his head, and they don't give him anything, they put too much expectations, and he pops.
Which, kind of like what I was saying with Carrot would feel the need to hear everybody out. It'd be too many words in his head.
God, this book has layers. This is more than...
This was why I was like, how much do we want to stay away from, like, the spoilers? Because the theming of it is a lot of, like, this is the problem with kings.
There is a big murder mystery in this one, which I will give you, towards the end, a very brief description of. And we're not going to go into that, really, because I do want you... I really enjoy...
The way the mystery unfolds.
Yes, and I don't want to spoil that for people.
The way the story is told is brilliant. Because we're never... Like, as the audience, we're never given the entire picture. And it's not like we're given the entire picture and we're watching them gradually learn it. We're, like, 3 steps ahead of whatever character we're watching, only because we have the information from all the characters as the viewpoints switch.
And even then, I didn't figure out what it was. Like, it's really obvious afterwards, but once it's revealed, without spoils, someone is poisoning the patrician and they can't figure out how.
As someone who loves puns, I was so pissed that I didn't catch it.
I didn't catch any of the puns. I didn't, like, once I, like, got it, I was like, man, there really were so many hints, but I didn't see them.
Overall, I almost feel like Men-at-Arms had the way the police story interacted with the mystery was better, but I feel like the conclusion of this one ties up not just the murder mystery, but also the themes of the entire story.
I think that's why I said, like, this isn't necessarily my favorite watch book, but I do think it shows a really significant growth in his writing from the last watch book. I might actually like Men-at-Arms a little better, but I think Feet of Clay is a better written book.
There was way more engaging action in Men-at-Arms.
Yes.
This one was a lot of walk and talk.
I'm a fan of walk and talk, I'm going to be honest with you, so...
I mean... I watch Kevin Smith movies.
Yeah, so you clearly also enjoyed the walk and talk. Is this the book where they talk about Vimes' socioeconomic theory of boots, or was that the last one? Okay, the boots thing comes up again in this, so I could never remember. Yeah. Vimes can feel the city from his boots, and part of his rebellion of, and there is some subtext to it, but part of his rebellion of I'm now a rich bitch is refusing to have fancy boots. Like, the entire last series, it was driving him nuts, or last book, that he, had to use shitty old boots with shitty old cardboard. And then now he has the nice boots, and he's like, this is bullshit. I can't figure out anything, because he's so used to the boots being so thin that he can feel...
Where he's at in the city.
Where he is at in the city is cobbles. And I think it's a kind of thinly veiled metaphor of... Vimes needs the fact that he comes from the streets. He needs that street cred to do what he does at this point. He needs to be effective at his job. This person he's become, who has access to both parts of Ankh-Morpork in a way that no one ever has before.
All of these different... Man, have you ever watched The Wire? I think you'd like The Wire.
I haven't watched The Wire. It's on my list of shows I should fucking get to someday.
It reminds me of how that show very much shows the need to not just listen to orders from the higher-ups. Vimes, like the patrician needs Vimes because Vimes isn't necessarily willing to listen to him or the streets all the time.
Yeah. Vimes will fight anyone who tells him to do a thing. And I think the patrician needs someone who will fight him.
Yeah. But that's the thing. Like, Vimes isn't also necessarily always going to side with the people, though. Because sometimes he understands that the people are fucking dumb.
Yeah. What's that? There's... They're like, you like the common man? And he's like, the people. There's nothing special about them.
But he understands that he needs to know the people to be able to make those calls. Instead of just listening to orders from up top or just...
And he is the only person of power who would ever really, like, foul old Ron shows up to him. And foul old Ron, and he's just, even Ron, like, not shitty to him, not just what up, weird old homeless man, in a way that I don't, there's no way the patrician ever would have been able to, like, deal with foul old Ron.
Mm-hmm.
And I like that it's all the upper level people are underestimating Vimes throughout this. Downey and Mr. Bogus of the Thieves Guild, and everyone being like, he's a jumped up lackey, he's whatever. And it's Miss Molly of the Beggars Guild being like, you guys are underestimating Vimes. He's not a drunk anymore. Like, you have to take him seriously now. You are not getting this, and it's going to be funny for me.
Mm-hmm.
This is the point. Pratchett talks about this, that he says after a while with the watch books, and I bet this is the point, it becomes really difficult to set stories in Ankh-Morpork because it too quickly would become a watch book. Because he'd be like, well, fuck, of course Vimes would be on this. So in a lot of later Ankh-Morpork books that weren't about the watch, they at least show up, and they have to, like, come up with a reason why Vimes isn't, like, ass deep in whatever trouble is going down.
Right. Because even if he wouldn't necessarily be around, if something's big enough, the patrician would send him to be around.
Mm-hmm. Or Carrot would pick up on it, or, it helped that a lot of times they'll be like, there's the watch, but it's, Detritus working on it. And I love Detritus. He's still dumb in this book. Do not get us wrong. He has 3 questions. I know you what did it. It was you what did it, wasn't you? And everyone knows you did it. Confess that you did it. Or something like that. And he just repeats them until someone's like, fine, yes, I did it. Now tell me what I did. It's a funny joke. It's a little horrifying in the age where we're dealing with, like, lazy cops and police brutality. But...
oh, shit. I also couldn't believe that at the end they had fucking Dorful quote RoboCop. That was the best thing. Or... or kind of quote.
As close as he could.
What was it? It was something like, you're undead or alive, you're coming with me. Something like that.
I just really like this. Like, this book made me feel good. Well, and as I said, I had kind of a long week. Nothing that matters to bring up here. But getting to escape to the disc always makes me feel good. And I appreciate that this is the first of them where they're actually acknowledging that the characters are good at their jobs. And sometimes it is really nice. Like, not just it's super easy for everyone, but sometimes it is nice to watch or read or ingest media in whatever way where the people are actually good at what they do.
Yeah.
It's fun to watch fuck-ups, but sometimes it's just fulfilling in its own way.
And everybody's trying to be as effective as they can throughout this. Even
Colin is like, man, I have to try. Mm-hmm. Not hard, but I have to try.
Anytime they're ineffective, it's just because they're trying to figure things out on the fly and have never ran
into
this
before. What is happening right now?
How am I supposed to do this? It's my first day on the job.
Well, and it's interesting because we were seeing signs of, like, this is Vimes getting to do what he thought the city has needed. This is really Vimes almost getting free reign to do what he really thinks, what he's always said that the city needs. And part of this is figuring out, okay, I knew what it needed before. I didn't understand the how to do that. And figuring that out, he's like, I know we need an alchemist.
Right.
But largely, I know I need an alchemist because I need an alchemist to tell me what I need an alchemist for. Like, I don't even know what I need. I just know what I'm missing.
I can't believe I almost forgot this. Wee Mad Arthur might be my favorite character.
Wee Mad Arthur is fucking amazing. Wee Mad Arthur is a gnome, and gnomes in this one are...
real tiny.
Tiny. They're like a few inches tall. Think of the brownies from Willow, and you have the gnomes almost perfectly.
Yeah.
Except with, like, the Ant-Man punching ability.
Yeah.
Wee Mad Arthur fighting the bull is one of the funniest moments in this book. A bull gets loose, and this, like, 3-inch crazy person who fights, who like, he's an exterminator, but he does it by going in and punching everything.
Yeah, or like, yeah. Yeah, he goes and kills rats and shit mostly, but he'll work out deals for like cockroaches, and he also has like bee and hornet or bee rates, and then if they turn out to be hornets, there's an extra.
But his solution for like taking out a hornet's nest.
That was my favorite thing. They're like, oh, hornet's nest wouldn't be, oh, how do you do the hornet's nest? He's like, I got explosives. And like, well, that's not too sporting, is it? And what did he say? Something like,
yeah. You try punching your way out before the fuse goes off or something like that. Like, and he for whatever reason, and they're like, we don't understand why, but he can hit like a normal person.
Mm-hmm.
And you just learn after this that gnomes are all like this.
Okay.
We Mad Arthur is extra crazy, but they're all just absolutely insane. They're all, it's described as like all the character of a large person in a 3-inch body or something like that.
What did he show up riding at the end?
He rides birds a lot. He's riding a bull no, he fights the bull. He's not riding the bull originally. It might be a chicken.
Right, something like that. He shows up, right.
He tried to nut the bull, and like Detritus is just watching, being like, this is kind of amazing. Everyone's scared of him, and the Rat Catchers Guild hates him because he refuses to sign up for the Rat Catchers Guild. And he undercharges them, so everyone's going to Wee Mad Arthur instead of the Rat Catchers. And the reason is because he's so small, his cost of living is almost non-existent. $1 to buy a loaf of bread, and he's like, that loaf is gone at the end of the day for a person. It lasts him like a month, and he can sleep in it as a house as he like hollows out the inside. Anytime he orders a beer, since it comes in like a person-sized mug, he has to put on like a swimming outfit in case for when he falls in. So he's just roaring drunk all the time. Wee Mad Arthur is the chaos factor in this that in some ways Detritus or Drunk Vimes was in previous stories. Which is fine. I like having that. It's just also fun to see it not be Vimes.
Oh, he was so fucking great. Oh, Wee Mad Arthur might have been my favorite part of this. I don't know how I almost skipped over him.
Because he's not a major plot point. He's just
a fun time. Yeah.
He's just there to be the commentary in some ways.
I kind of mentioned it before, but just the glee that everybody who worked with the coat of arms had at puns just made me happy. And they were the stupidest, dumbest little fucking things that they would work into those goddamn coat of arms. And
I love the fact that for all of the animals,
they actually have the
animals. And he's like, why don't you just make them up? And they're just like deathly offended. And that was relatively true. A lot of times coat of arms makers would really keep the animals so they could draw them. Like, they would not work from pictures, which is sometimes for the best. Some of the weirder like depictions of animals that you get in medieval art was from people who were drawing from pictures and descriptions and had never seen an elephant before. It is a little weird that the first and one of the only like LGBT expressions that we ever get is the implication that Keith and Roderick, the hippos, are gay.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like kind of a funny joke, but then you think about it a little deeper. And it's one of those things of just where the world has moved on from necessarily where Pratchett was in, you said this is what, 96? I was alive in 96. Shit's changed a lot on that front.
Yeah. Back to the more serious theming real quick. I can't remember exactly how it was worded, but there was a scene that really brilliantly showed the fact that throughout some of the different scenes we had been shown, that Nobbes and the Udiscope were one and the same, theme-wise.
I never would have picked that up. Jesus Christ, you read books so much more deeply than I do. Yeah, the Udiscope who lead people into the slaughterhouse, and without going deeper into it, people are trying to kind of use Nobbes to lead people into the slaughterhouse. Oof. Oof to use the...
This is why I liked this one so much.
Oh, it's so good. And
because it was really well layered.
Also, I just kind of love that Nobby and the goat are like Nobby, just even beyond that joke, that Nobby and a goat are kind of the same, because goats are amazing, but they're kind of disgusting creatures of chaos. Mm-hmm. Both of these facts are 100% true. I love goats, but they're the worst.
Yeah. I can't remember how it was written, but there was a part that really clearly made the fact that those two were the same. I was like, oh, I see what you did there.
I think it's I'm not sure how it's written either, but there's a point later on, a bunch of farm animals are fucking rampaging through the city. That's not really a plot, like a big reveal, spoiler plot revelation. And there's this moment where Nobby is just like kind of depressed and smoking a cigarette while watching this all going on, and like shares it with the goat next to him, because he feels this like odd moment of feeling of his fellow man with the goat that also is hanging out in this corner being like, what's happening?
Like, he passes it over the goat to take a drag, and the goat just eats it, and he goes, yep, you and me, buddy.
Oh, I would hate Nobby so much in person, but there is something wonderful about Nobby to me as the eternal kind of like unchanging piece of shit thief that in some ways is kind of the spirit of Ankh-Morpork. Like, no matter how much it grows and like stops being what it was in like Color of Magic, there's still Nobby Nobbes,
who is kind of all of
to
Ankh.
really keep that in the same way that there's still Cut Me Own Throat Dibbler. No matter what's going on, Cut Me Own Throat Dibbler is going to be nearby, selling his disgusting, disgusting sausages.
He only popped up once in this, I think.
Barely in this one.
Yeah.
And same with Death. Death appears, but very little. I think Death only appears in that first scene.
Right, and Death of Rats shows up really quickly, too. Mm-hmm.
It is some of the least Death has ever used. It is a very excellent use of Death, of this person who is an obsessive, who's like so mad that he died, not because he died, but because there were these things he was trying to do, and like, this is very inconvenient. He was trying, and Death being like, I don't know how to deal with you. Like, what's the line? Death is by nature a somewhat obsessive personality, and he was coming to the realization that he was in the presence of the master.
Oh, yeah. Even though we only had the briefest mention of Cut Me Own Throat Dibbler, I did appreciate that towards the end there was a reference of whether they wanted their rats with ketchup or not. Mm-hmm. That had me fucking rolling.
Or that dwarves think that steak is poisonous. Mm-hmm. That it's unsafe to eat because like someone's been poisoning rats, and he's like. And they also find out at the same time that this same place that's had the poisoned rats has been filling up their rat surprise, rat being the major dwarf food, with bits of chicken and beef, and they were like, how dare you?
He's like, don't worry, I don't do it on holiday occasions
like,
and shit. Like,
only when I really have to, because I only use the best rats. And they're like, oh, fuck. Dwarven culture is so fascinating.
Oh my god. I love that. Battle bread had me rolling.
As far as I know, that started as a throwaway joke from Witches Abroad. The dwarven bread never goes bad because you'll be like, well, at least there's the dwarven bread to eat, and then you don't want to eat it, so you just keep going anyways. Similar to that kind of... It was kind of making fun of elvish bread from... Lambus bread from Lord of the Rings. But then it becomes this, like, it's so rock hard that it becomes an actual rock or, like, an actual weapon. And it's now battle bread. Culinary combat baking? Why is there not a manga about this? Like, there almost is with Food Wars. But I want to see an actual, like, shonen battle baking. Oh my god, you and I need to somehow become rich so we can just start making comics together.
Yes, battle bread all over the place.
We'll add this to our beautiful Adam Strange versus Hugo Strange comic. Not different comics, not in the same comic, but in our list of someday we will be comic geniuses.
It's going to happen, folks. Read this book?
Yeah, read this book. Like, it's not my recommendation for the week, but... It's basically my recommendation for the week. I mean, this entire one is, please read this. I really do want to see the watch. I've heard very middling reviews, but all of the reviews have been from hardcore being like, it's not a bad series. It's just not the best Discworld series. Like, it's not found that balance. And I'm curious. I continue to be curious. I continue to think they picked the perfect actor to play Vimes.
Yeah.
At least just visually.
What is your recommendation? Are we done with the book?
Yeah, I think we're done with the book.
Okay. I already went off on my MF Doom recommendation, so.
I had it. I fucking made a link. Hold on. I could do this. Thank you, technology. I don't say that very often anymore. The Repair Shop on Netflix.
Oh.
It's a British show. It is kind of like Great British Bake Off in that, like, it's really relaxing and kind of feel good, but you get to watch cool things get made. And it's people bringing in antiques. Really amazing antiques in some cases. You know, a 100-year-old, 200-year-old, like, butter churn kind of thing. A like leather traveling case that's a century old that has literally traveled the world. An old weird cane that had like a fake wooden monkey head on it, and if you press the button, like the monkey's mouth opens and the ears come open.
Okay.
But it's from like late 19th century, so it's like little wooden like it's who knows how it's done. And these people repair it for free. Or like, you know, here's this 200-year-old painting that's beat to shit, and like my son shot a Nerf dart through it, but it's also a 200-year-old painting.
Mm-hmm.
Fix it up. And the deal is people submit an item that they want to fix. A century-old watch that escaped like a World War II prison camp. Like, cool shit.
Mm-hmm.
They will fix this up for free, but you have to agree that you're not selling it afterwards.
Mm.
So this isn't like, oh man, this got fixed on the repair shop and now I can sell it for like $10,000. This is a family heirloom. Like the watch I mentioned.
Yeah.
It was...
Survived Christopher Walken's ass.
Yes, exactly. It was a watch that survived a Japanese prison camp.
Okay.
In China,
Right.
which is a real bad place to be.
Yes.
And it is literally the only thing that his family had at the end of the prison. Like, it's his great-grandmother sewed it into her shirt and kept it hidden, doing stuff like that for, like, the 4 years that she was in a prison camp. Like, that's insane. Most things would have been traded for, like, food or stolen or whatever. Mm-hmm. And this is literally the only piece of family history they have that predates this experience in World War II. So it means so much to this person. And that's part of what's so... One, you just have these, like, calming British dudes and ladies being really excited to get to work on these amazing old things. And, you know, there's leather workers and there's watchmakers and there's just every level of creative. But you also get to see the people get this thing back and being like, oh my God, like this is what I remember from my childhood or stuff like that. Mm-hmm. Like it's feel good in an age when we need feel good. That's really what it is.
Oh yeah.
And then yours is MF Doom.
MF Doom.
So we will not have an episode next week because this is our last week of being weekly. We are going to bi-weekly after this. Starting next week, we are recording the very first episode of Noob Island, our new podcast that will be launching probably about a month after that. We decided we wanted to be an episode or two ahead because it's not topical. We don't have a news program on it. So it's okay if it like...
But we need the time to work on it. So that's why you guys...
And in case something goes wrong, we're not like, oh, crap, no, we don't have an episode for next week. Like, it's fine, but I like to avoid that if possible. But in 2 weeks, we will be back with Wonder Woman 84.
Woo!
And you have seen it. And I do not know how I haven't seen it yet, so we'll see what I feel about it. But you're going to say, and...
Don't we have a returning guest on it? Or has that not been worked out for sure yet?
No, we were talking about possibly getting Tiffany to come on for this one, who was on our Digimon episode and was just lovely. We just absolutely loved it. So possibly
maybe.
Tiffany coming back if we can set that up. I'm sure she'd be excited. It's just a matter of
Getting
set up. And also, in theory, the final bits of word balloons, which we've been promising for almost a year now, and we did.
And we teased like 8 weeks ago.
Yeah, like it's been a while. Sorry, guys. You guys all went through 2020. Actually, you know what? I'm not that sorry. You understand what's been going on. But in theory, the final bits, the theme song was finished just before the holidays, and no editing got done on the holidays, especially because we don't pay Steven to do it. We want to pay Steven to do it. We'll get there, guys. I did class solidarity. But the final touches just have to be put on. Our goal is to absolutely get it out before or at the same time as when we start Noob Island. A lot more stuff is coming, and it is at the point that I can taste it. So I'm just so excited.
I agree. I'm excited too. There was one other thing that I realized I forgot to bring up about Feet of Clay.
Please.
Had you ever heard of the expression Feet of Clay before?
I know it's an expression, but I'm not sure what it is off the top of my head.
Feet of Clay is an expression that is commonly used to refer to a weakness or character flaw, especially in people of prominence.
Interesting. And simultaneously, it's not when it comes to Dorful. Like, huh. God, Pratchett's an interesting guy, which is why we have now done 5 episodes involving Terry Pratchett properties in a year.
Woo! Terry Pratchett podcast.
Yeah. Oh God, I would.
Pratchett,
if I wasn't working
Pratchett
on
in Star Wars.
Pratchett Wars, Star Pratchett,
also known as Tardigrades on the Moon.
Stop giving me podcast ideas. I'm working on 5 podcasts at this point. We'll get there.
So I'm a tardigrade.
And I'm Zach.
Dismissed. Hi everybody, General Tyler here. If you like the show, please hit subscribe however you're listening to us right now. Also, if you could rate and review us however you're listening to us right now, or preferably over at Apple Podcasts, we would super appreciate it, as the whole world is ran on algorithms, and we want to be all up in them, getting our voice out to more places. Also, tell your friends. We always appreciate that. If you want to get in contact with us, ask us questions, give us comments, email us generalnerderypod@gmail.com. You can also contact us through our website, www.generalnerdcast.com. While you're there, check out all of our back catalog, or click the links up at the top, as we are part of the Earworm Podcast Network. Go check out all of our sister shows. We're involved with most of them, so if you already like listening to us talk, it might be in your best interest. And if you want to check out everything from the network, head over to earworm.com, EARVVYRM.com. We'd super appreciate it. Love you all. Have a good one.